Police officers sure are law enforcement officials who are tasked with maintaining public order, protecting individuals and property, and preventing and investigating crime. However, there have been instances where police officers have abused their power, used excessive force, and violated people's rights, particularly those from marginalized communities.
Oh, somebody help me!
These actions can lead to distrust and fear of law enforcement, exacerbating already strained relationships between the police and the communities they serve. But can they exploit such power? What are the legal penalties if they do so? And if the police abuse his here power, would they be treated differently? Stick around as we take a closer look at two of the most brutal cases that could make us think of cops as judicial pillars twice. Our first case kicks off with Sergeant Mario Cardona versus Daniel Garza. Daniel Garza was helpless after being thrown and pinned to the ground. Officer Mario Cardona, who Garza had known for years, was on the verge of breaking his wrist. Garza recalled, "I was trying to be a man and trying to hold in the pain, but man, that wrist lock hurts. He's just bending it and bending it." But what compelled Cardona to go so far? It turns out that his actions were motivated by rage toward Garza, whom he accuses of attempting to kidnap his stepdaughter. Are cops bestowed such authority? Seems that the two men had quite the history, with Garza having previously dated Cardona's stepdaughter, Naomi Villanueva. The relationship had hit rock bottom, with Villanueva moving out of her parents' house to live with a friend. In May 2015, Garza allegedly took Villanueva without her consent from her friend's house and brought her to her parents' house in Whittier, where Cardona lived across the street. Cardona saw Garza doing pilates in his yard and ordered him to come down to the street. As soon as Garza came down, Cardona began his assault. According to Garza, he was not the aggressor, and a neighbor who witnessed the incident testified in Garza's favor. The sheriff deputies who arrived at the scene noticed redness on Garza's face, bruises and abrasions to his knees, and redness on his wrists. Garza filed a complaint against Cardona, which led to a federal lawsuit against Cardona, Chief Beck, and the city of Los Angeles. Garza alleged false arrest, unreasonable search and seizure, excessive force, assault and battery, negligence, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. A video of the incident filmed by one of Garza's neighbors was also presented at the trial. They had made up a story of what had happened to make him look like a hero and me look like a criminal, says Daniel Garza. The U.S. District Judge Stephen V. Wilson presided over the hearing where the former deputy city attorney, Michael Amarian, spoke in defense of the city. The jury found Cardona to be acting with malice as an off-duty officer, and on June 26, 2017, they ordered him to pay Garza $210,000 in damages. On top of that, the court added another $664,000 in attorney's fees and $26,000 for post-trial costs. The City of Law refused to take responsibility for Cardona's actions and even refused to indemnify the officer, forcing him to pay for the charges out of his pocket. Jim DeSimone, Garza's attorney, claims, "This is the problem with the left. This is why people are out on the street." The case is a clear example of police officers using excessive force against individuals and getting away with it. In this case, however, Garza was able to stand up to the authorities who violated his rights, and he was able to win his lawsuit against Cardona. The jury's decision to find Cardona guilty of acting with malice sends a strong message that law enforcement officers cannot get away with using excessive force against citizens. It is worth noting that this case also highlights the importance of civilians being aware of their rights and standing up to law enforcement officers when they feel their rights have been violated. Garza's decision to file a complaint and a lawsuit against Cardona shows that individuals can take action against police brutality and excessive force. As more and more people become aware of their rights and are willing to take action, law enforcement officers will be held accountable for their actions, and if you sue a cop in LAA for excessive force, you are in for a wild ride. However, Garza's decision to stand up to Cardona and the authorities who violated his rights resulted in a victory for him. sending a strong message that law enforcement officers cannot get away with using excessive force against citizens. The case of Harrell Hill is just a perfect example of how our justice system can go wrong. From a gruesome rape and murder to a wrongful conviction, this case definitely ticks all the boxes. So, what underwent? First off, we have the detectives who were assigned to the case, Kenneth Bordeaux and John Halloran, the so-called beacons of justice. They were the ones who got the confession out of Peter Williams, who was later found to be in jail at the time of the crime. So, how did they churn out a false confession of someone who wasn't even there? Hill's confession is also questionable, as he claims that he was physically and mentally abused until he confessed to crimes he didn't commit. Is this the kind of behavior we expect from our law enforcement officers? Moving on to the trial itself. Hill was only 16 years old when the crime was committed, but was tried as an adult at the age of 31. This is an interesting move from the prosecution, considering that neither of the defendants had a criminal record prior to the incident. The jury found Hill and Young guilty of murder, and they were sentenced to life without parole. But 13 long years later, DNA tests revealed that the hair found at the crime scene and the cellular materials under Kathy Morgan's fingernails didn't match either of the defendants. Think of the agony Hill went through for something he didn't do. What made Hill hold on to his life is still astonishing. Despite this evidence, the prosecutors disputed the findings, suggesting that the hairs were unrelated to the crime and that the cellular material could have come from sweat or drool left over by the recovery team. It's shocking that the prosecutors were so stubborn, even in the face of such clear evidence. Harrell and Young were eventually released from prison, but tragedy struck when Young was killed in a hit and run incident. Hill, however, filed a complaint against the city of Chicago, the police, and the two detectives involved in the case, accusing them of forcing a confession and violating his civil rights. The case was settled for $1.25 million, with Hill receiving $500,000, and the rest going to attorney's fees. It's surprising that the detectives were only asked to pay a measly $7,500 each for their part in this whole debacle. Do you think that is bad? Wait till you hear this. It's also worth noting that Hill was later convicted again for an unrelated armed robbery charge and is currently serving 27 years in prison. But despite this, it's clear that the justice system failed Harrell Hill in the past. This case highlights the importance of reforming our justice system to ensure that wrongful convictions don't occur, and that those who abuse their power are held accountable. The case of Harrell Hill is a tragedy of errors, starting from the investigation to the trial and subsequent conviction. Being wrongfully imprisoned for 13 years, Hill was not awarded a chance to conform to life outside because he was turned into a criminal by the system. The system absolutely messed the hell out of him, and the cops only paid $7,500 each. When cops do what they did, they need to be locked away for at least as long as the victims they put in jail. What do you think of these cases? Which do you think is most unfair? Sound off in the comments below and make sure to let us know if we missed out on anything. While you are at it, make sure to hit that subscribe and leave a like to never miss an update from us.
In April 2023, Officer Scott Harrell, a 4-year veteran of the Texas City Police Department, allegedly initiated a traffic stop after observing a vehicle speeding and cutting through parking spaces at a gas station. Officer Harrell approached Christopher Scholl, the driver, and informed him about the alleged violations. Scholl denied any wrongdoing, stating that he was not speeding, that he regularly took the direct path through the parking lot to the gas pumps. Despite Scholl's compliance and explanation, Officer Harrell accused him of disregarding traffic control devices and threatened to issue a citation.
Before I'm stepping out of traffic, get lucky. Don't walk up to my car, please. What? Don't walk up to my car, please. Hey, man, you can't drive through the parking lot like that. You got your driver's license insurance? Any weapons in the car I need to worry about? Oh, man. Ford, did you catch my trap?
Yes, sir. Have you on traffic about?
Robert John Lincoln, 4732. Robert John Lincoln, 4732. Chief, copy 27.
Thanks.
1441 6588 1441 6588. Is there any particular reason why you felt you needed to come through the parking lot like that?
I didn't think I did anything wrong. I just came over to get gas.
You were speeding and you cut through parking spaces. No, you can't do that.
It's just gonna be confirmed on Robert.
I didn't think I was doing anything, man.
I mean, you
all
looked
I'm
around.
doing is coming to get gas.
Yeah. Oh, are we gonna go back and forth, or are you just gonna?
You asked me a question. You want me to answer it or not? I'm not.
Okay.
If anything, I thought I was going even slower than normal.
No, sir.
Because normally people don't even park where you park, and that's the direct path to the gas pumps.
Through the parking spaces. This is the direct.
I do realize that. I know that there's parking spaces there.
And you almost hit that car that was turning right there. I was watching, man.
The traffic stop was initiated on private property, and Texas law generally does not enforce traffic laws in parking lots, driveways, or alleys. Therefore, it can be argued that Mr. Scholl was unlawfully detained by Officer Harrell.
Hey, for
Thank
Thank
you.
Meanwhile, the officer asked the man to show his license and checked it within his system if there was anything suspicious, but everything was clean.
So,
I'm not kidding you either, man. I come here every day, dude.
look, I'm not.
I send pictures of my wife the price of the gas here every
Right.
day when I come through.
Okay, look.
So anyway,
Here's the deal, man. Okay, I'm not gonna go back and forth and all that. I'm not gonna write you tickets, but the only reason I'm not writing you tickets is because I'm out of tickets right now. Okay, otherwise you would be receiving a citation.
for what?
Okay.
What did the citation? I'm just curious.
Disregarding traffic control device.
On private property?
Yes.
Okay.
You still can't do that. It's still illegal.
Okay.
During the interaction, Officer Harrell demonstrated a power trip, unlawfully detaining Mr. Scholl and making false accusations against him. Despite Mr. Scholl's attempts to de-escalate the situation, Officer Harrell persisted in his aggressive behavior. Nevertheless, Officer Harrell continued to escalate the situation by accusing Scholl of reckless driving and threatening to arrest him. Eventually, Officer Harrell arrested Mr. Scholl, claiming he believed Scholl would continue to engage in unsafe behavior in the future.
I was sitting right there, and he came through the parking lot and cut through all the spaces. He came through so fast and whooped into here, and there was a white truck. The white truck had to slam on its brakes. So I come over here. I was just going to be like, hey, man, chill out. Like, chill out. Don't be like that. But you wanted to go back and forth and argue with me and give me all kinds of stuff. And, like, I didn't have any tickets, and I didn't grab a rider this morning. So I was like, man, look, it doesn't have to go this way. He kept going back and forth, so I was like, all right, let's go.
Another officer arrived at the scene, and Officer Harrell recounted the situation, portraying himself as the victim and Mr. Scholl as the aggressor. However, Officer Harrell realized his misconduct and decided to handle the situation differently. He cited Mr. Scholl for disregarding traffic control devices and allowed him to leave.
What motorcycle did you use?
Anything? Boy, Scholl's no longer in custody. Okay, I see you sign right here. It's not a admission of guilt. Mr. Scholl is no longer in custody. It's not an admission of guilt. Sister promise to contact the court on or before the date time that's written on here. You can contact the court at the bottom here. The information's there and also up there. Free to go, sir.
Following the incident, Officer Harrell was placed on administrative duty and is under investigation by the Internal Affairs Department. The Texas City Police Department has strict policies against violating individuals' rights during encounters. Chief Joe Stanton announced that the results of the investigation will be made public once a final disposition is reached. Mr. Scholl, who considers himself pro-police, viewed the traffic stop as unjustified and a violation of his rights. He plans to take the case to trial and is considering civil action against the department. He has set up a GoFundMe campaign to cover legal fees for the potential lawsuit. And now let's move to another video. In a recent encounter involving the Cleveland Heights Police Department, a female officer was observed recklessly pulling in front of another vehicle while conducting a traffic stop. The driver of the other vehicle, who narrowly avoided an accident, began recording the incident on his mobile phone.
1 second.
You want to go there?
81 radio, stand by. It's going to be on Mayfield. across from the first access road. Send me another unit because another party does not know how to yield to lights and sirens, and he's sitting here recording me. Say they almost ran him off the road. You okay?
Yeah, I'm
Okay. I'm Officer Lewis with Cleveland Heights. The reason I'm for the traffic stop is the plates on the vehicle are expired.
Yeah,
Not even a big deal. Do you know that guy behind me in the Porsche?
I was trying to hurry up and move over.
You're good. No, you're good. You did the right thing. Put my lights out and sirens. He did not move over.
As the officer stepped out of her patrol vehicle, the officer expressed his concern over the near collision. The officer instructed the driver to wait while she proceeded with the traffic stop. However, the driver patiently parked behind the patrol vehicle and continued recording. The officer initially admitted her mistake and apologized to the driver, but during their conversation, she suddenly changed her stance, blaming the driver for her own errors.
Apologize.
You almost ran me off the road.
I initiated my lights and
I didn't hear
sirens.
anything.
What, was your music on? Because I had the lights and sirens on, sir.
You apologize.
I apologize.
You're wrong.
He stopped
I'ma let it
abruptly.
go.
Okay, I'm not wrong. The lights and sirens were activated.
You ran me
Okay,
off the road.
I did not
almost.
do that, sir. The lights and sirens
So
on
what
my
are you apologizing
marked
for?
patrol because he stopped abruptly, causing me to stop
And I almost
abruptly,
caused an
causing
accident.
you to stop abruptly.
Right.
And I apologize for that. However, the lights and sirens were on. Okay, the police vehicle is marked. You can clearly see it's a marked
You're next to
patrol
me, man.
vehicle. I initiated lights and
I don't
sirens.
wanna argue with
I'm
you.
not going to argue, and I'm telling you I do. I'm going to tell you I do apologize that
Right.
he did stop
But I'm
abruptly.
gonna tell you the disconnect.
Nobody was
I'm gonna
wrong.
tell you the disconnect, right? So between the public and you as a public
You want
servant,
me to do that driver check? Okay.
if it's something wrong and you actually
Yeah.
did it, all you say, my bad. I'm
And I
sorry,
did. I just
and
said,
keep going.
I
Instead
said
of
my
saying,
bad. I said I initiated a traffic stop in a marked vehicle with lights and sirens.
Right.
If you didn't hear the sirens or see the lights,
I mean, you called back up to your thing.
well, I called back up because somebody is getting out of a cop car.
The situation escalated when the officer called for backup and her supervisor, a sergeant, arrived at the scene. The sergeant immediately confronted the driver, accusing him of obstructing and interfering with the traffic stop despite not being present during the initial interaction. The sergeant failed to articulate if the driver was being detained or not, but he continued to escalate the situation.
You called back up for your safety, but
Well, you don't pull up behind an officer on a traffic stop.
you don't even know what's going on.
You're right, I don't.
So why are you saying that?
Because I'm here and what you're doing right now is against the law.
ran me off the road.
Okay, well then you should have pulled over for lights and sirens. You said it on the radio that you didn't yield. And it's on dash cam, I'm assuming.
Just the disconnect, man.
Sir,
I'll tell you what, let her finish her business and then we can sit down and talk like
we're
adults.
good. I'm going to let him go. We're good. I'm going to let him go.
Yeah.
What? I'm sorry. What was your last name?
My last name?
Yeah.
Why you need my last name?
Because I'm asking who I'm talking to. You asked me who you were talking to.
You're now, well, now you're going to be under arrest because what you're doing is going to be under arrest.
Listen.
What you're doing is illegal. I can charge you for interfering with the
Just
traffic.
give me your last name.
Why?
Because I'm conducting business with you right
I'm
now.
not being detained. Or am I free to
If you
go?
want to be.
10-4. That's not going
how
to
it
be the
works.
driver.
What's your RS?
Stand by.
What's your reasonable articulate
Okay.
suspicion of my crime?
I'm going to get rid of him.
Hold on, I'll explain it to you, okay?
Am I being detained?
Right
Am
now.
I being detained?
If you want to be.
10-4. That's
No,
not
that's not how it works. What's your RS?
Stand by.
My RS?
Reasonable articulate
Okay.
suspicion of my
Okay,
crime.
here,
I'm gonna get
first,
rid of
okay,
him.
hold on. I'll explain it to you, okay? Doing what you're doing right now.
No, sir, she almost ran me off the road.
Yeah. Again, you didn't yield to lights and siren. You came out.
She was next to me and stopped and almost ran me off the road.
Okay,
What are you talking
okay,
about?
listen to me. You asked my reasonable articulable suspicion. It's not a
I'm not
probable
under
cause.
arrest. If you arrest me, you violate my right.
I don't want to arrest you. We have to
You're
ID
going to
you.
violate my right. That's what you're going to
Okay,
do?
we have to ID you. You
No,
understand
you
that? Yes, we do.
All right, I'm going to videotape it.
Okay, we got you on camera
I'm
too.
going to call, then come get the car. You're violating my right.
Come getting, who's getting what car?
They can come, you're going to arrest
Radio,
me,
another
right?
car here. I got a male who's obstructing.
No, I'm not.
He's refusing to
She almost
identify
ran me off
himself.
the road.
So I'll take a report on it, but I need your ID.
No.
Yeah.
I'm dealing with her.
The driver explained what had transpired to the sergeant, but both officers insisted on obtaining his identification, even though no crime had been committed. The sergeant eventually handcuffed the driver, alleging obstruction and interference.
Listen,
Right.
I'm asking you to identify yourself so I can let my dispatcher know who I'm out with. If you don't identify yourself, that is obstruction. You are the one that came
Obstruction
out.
is a secondary crime.
It's
What crime did I commit?
There's no crime, but I'm
So there's no crime, I don't
I'm
need to
identifying
identify.
you. Okay.
Thank-
I need your driver license.
Look, man, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to arrest you if you don't identify yourself.
She just said it was no crime.
It is
Listen.
a crime. Obstructing is a
What
crime.
crime?
Obstructing
You have to
is a
legally
crime.
Identify yourself, guys.
She almost ran me off the road.
And then I still have to identify you.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
Okay. Well, I'm going to call and come to the car. You can arrest me.
Okay, turn around, put your gun back.
Because I didn't do anything.
Okay, turn around, turn around.
I didn't do anything.
Listen, just all
I
you
didn't
have to
do
do.
it. I don't have my ID with me.
Okay, what's your
Your name and your
social?
date of birth, that's not what we asked for.
For what?
Because I need to let my kid back to know. It's not a big deal.
What's
Last
wrong
name,
with
sir.
you? Kern, man.
Kern?
You know what happened. Why are you letting him
Listen,
do this?
he's a sergeant.
He's violating my rights.
He is not. He
Come here, have a
didn't
seat. We're gonna give you a
identify
ticket when we
yourself.
send you on your way. You have valid driver's license?
Yeah, I do. You violate my rights, man.
Yeah, well, you're getting a ticket for interfering with the fast.
How did I interfere? She almost ran me off the road.
And you could have pulled off and waited and called.
I did wait when she said wait.
You were out here talking to her. Have a seat.
Mr. Kern, just
Don't push me, man.
Have a seat.
Why are you so full of machismo, man?
Dude, have a seat. I'm not putting up in your okay? Have a seat.
What's wrong with you, man?
Have a
I'm
seat.
sitting down.
All the way in.
if he
He's going
checks,
for obstructing. Or he's getting a ticket
you're
for
gonna.
obstructing. Is he valid?
I don't know. I'm waiting for the radio to say. What? So this is what happened.
Uh-huh.
That vehicle matched the description of the vehicle from Weird yesterday.
Okay.
I saw it. I initiated a traffic stop.
Okay.
That person, instead of like pulling over, he stopped abruptly.
Okay.
And I'm getting behind him, but he stopped abruptly.
Okay.
This guy was very close to him.
Okay.
And we almost did get into an accident.
Okay.
Because that driver stopped
Did you
so
have your license
abruptly.
siren on?
I did, yes.
Get your ticket for
He,
there's always answer part about this.
okay.
He's getting a ticket for
Radio, you want to read back on
failing
that?
to yield
Yes,
to an emergency vehicle?
Yes, radio, I do. That's why I provided
It
it.
was to a Demetrius Raphael Kern. It's a 37-year-old male. He's valid. That's one.
So he gets a ticket and then he can come to court. Right.
Listen, I don't feel like I need to give him a ticket for that.
Yeah.
I'm
Well, then he
cool
gets
with
an
just,
for obstructing.
okay. I mean, I'm cool with letting him go.
Right,
He
he
just
can't.
didn't
He
understand.
can't. He's in handcuffs.
And he's being
He
a jerk.
obstructed. He obstructed. He refused.
This was a baseless assumption, as the driver had simply waited on the side of the road until the officer finished her traffic stop. The driver provided his information to the officers, although he was not legally required to do so. The sergeant's behavior demonstrated an unjustified power trip, while the first officer seemed to acknowledge her mistake and attempted to rectify it.
You guys got a lawsuit
Mr. Kern,
coming.
just hang on. Just
You got a lawsuit coming.
Listen, let me explain to you. You don't get out of the car yet. The sergeant wants me to give you a ticket for obstruction, okay? I'm not
You
going
know
to do
I didn't.
anything else.
You know I didn't.
Listen, he's the boss.
You
This
did. You
is-
refused
he
to
is the
identify
boss.
yourself on a legal-
I don't have to refuse if I didn't commit a crime. This isn't a stop and ID state.
At this point, it is a traffic stop because you're
You
out on a
almost ran me
traffic
off
stop.
the road. You
Mr.
didn't
Kern,
know
we
it.
just had that conversation. I did not almost run you off the road.
That Tesla has cameras in it. So
Okay.
you guys are going to pay for this.
Okay,
That's
that's fine.
fine.
To court.
All right, John.
Mr. Kern, I apologize. I really do. And this is on body cam, alright? This is, the sergeant's telling me to do this, so listen, I'm just doing what I'm told to do, alright?
Afterwards, the driver was released from handcuffs, but the sergeant insisted on pursuing charges. The first officer apologized to the driver, stating she was just following orders. The driver expressed his intention to take legal action against both officers and the police department, citing violation of his rights.
Here's your property.
Hold on, let me get this in.
Sure.
Hey, just push one more.
Some janky rusty ass stuff.
Right.
You want to sign or are you going to refuse? Alright, I'm going to give you a copy of it.
You guys violated my rights. You know it.
Well, we'll all be in court.
Ultimately, the driver received a citation and a court date for obstruction. However, just 11 days later, the prosecutor filed a motion to dismiss the case due to a lack of evidence. The driver plans to proceed with a civil lawsuit against the officers and the department.